if I walked up to you and I said the word Bitcoin, what would that do? What would you think about? What about blockchain or cryptocurrency? Today, I got to sit down with a good friend of mine, thank God, Mel. Now, Mel works for a company called Ben. Ben stands for the Blockchain Education Network. Now, their goal and their mission is to empower students who are excited about the blockchain to get together, educate, and learn and expand and grow what blockchain is. Now, blockchain is a technology, and I'm not going to try to describe it to you guys. She does a good job, and you know, I got to sit through it, and even afterwards, I still have so many questions. But if you're not sure of what these things are, you should watch this because it's going to give you a pretty good idea. It might make you feel a little more comfortable about it, might make you feel like you have a better understanding. And so I'm super excited to share this with you guys, especially anybody who's interested in investing, interested in this kind of technology, anyone who knows anything about blockchain, Bitcoin, crypto, anything like that. This is super interesting. So I encourage you guys, whether or not you watch this whole episode, check them out. It's blockchainedu.org. So I'm going to link that below just to make sure. Other than that, we spoke a little bit about ecology. Mel delves into ecology as well. That's one of her passions. It's just making businesses more ecologically friendly. And so I'm extremely passionate about that as well. That's another episode that we're going to definitely do. But until then, you get just a little bit of a snapshot at the end here. So super excited, really happy we got to do this. We always have great conversations and she brings so much good energy. So super grateful for Mel. And without anything else, how do you end intros? Let's do it. It doesn't matter, I think, it's the frame as long as you can see our faces. Yeah, that's fine. No big deal.
Okay, what are we going to talk about here?
What are we going to talk about? Well, first, what we're going to talk about is who are you?
Okay, I am Mel.
You are Mel.
Yes.
I've known Mel since 6th grade? 7th
I
grade?
think it's crazy how, like...
Was it 6th? It was 6th grade.
It was 5th grade.
5th grade?
I came in 5th grade.
Oh. You stayed for 2 years?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gone in like a year.
No.
Just like that.
It felt that quick.
And then she was gone for quite a while.
I was.
I didn't know you anymore.
No. You and I never really spoke that much.
That's
in
true,
middle
too.
school either. I left for like years. I went to high school. I went to middle school and finished middle school elsewhere. It was so sweet. Peter and our friends in middle school, Sean, Nick, and Sean Cunningham, came to my house and then my friend's house with like teddy bears, like saying goodbye, and that was the sweetest thing. I did not expect that at all.
Yeah.
And then like we caught up in college. No,
High school.
High school.
Junior year of high school, we actually had a St. Kevin reunion.
Yeah.
And you came up and you're like, I run a business, and I'm like, huh?
Yeah, I was also like, keep in mind for the people who were like nobodies in middle school, I was that nobody. Like,
same.
I did not do well. Like, I didn't do well in science, and now I'm in tech. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think you, like, it just, like, what's meant for you is meant for you. And my family, like, my grandmother made recipes at home, and that she applied, like, different, like, creams to her face, and then, you know, we gave them out as creams for my quinceañera, my birthday, because I'm Colombian, doesn't look like it. And, I don't know, it helped people. Like, people were like, wow, this, like, helped my dark spots and my psoriasis, so we just, like, made the business around that, and it was called Bare Natural, which is still going. It's just not a skincare, it's an ecological brand now. And you know what? Like, I never really thought I was going to do anything with it until an organization like Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship supported me and was like, you can do it, and gave me mentors and like just everything. And that's when I got really confident and like the business started doing well.
Was that when you were still in high school?
Yeah.
See, that's so cool to have that opportunity.
I think it's so important. Like, like, I am where I am now because of that.
Yeah, I didn't know anything was possible in high school.
Yeah.
You know, like in high school I was still on the track, like, I want to go to college and then become a physical therapist. And it's like, obviously that's not what I want to do anymore. But it's like, to me, that was the big world. Yeah. And now, to me, the big world is huge.
I know, but it's hard too. Like entrepreneurship is addicting. Mm-hmm. But it's not easy. No. Like, I don't know, when I saw you in high school and I was there, everyone was like, oh, cool, like, you have a business, you know, and, like, they definitely did not expect that from me. Mm-hmm. But also, like, it's awesome, it's amazing, but it's exhausting and hard, and, like, I don't think entrepreneurs, like, talk enough about how it's difficult. Yeah. And it's not because it's difficult for a business to succeed. I think, like, when they say, like, there's a very small percentage of businesses to succeed, that's true, but that's not the hard part necessarily. It's, like, getting through it that I think can be more difficult, and, like, sticking with it. Because, like, okay, 9-to-5s, like, they're very comfy and nice looking, and don't get me wrong, like, I've considered them at different points, and even still now, I'm like, shit. Like, there's so much going on, but so much that I have to do. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, well, how do you feel about what a lot of people will call entrepreneurs, right? Because I think that the entrepreneur word is thrown around a lot, and as of late, I've been trying to even use it less and less, because I don't feel that I've earned the title. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I do know what you mean. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur in the past.
Like, I don't have anything to show for anything that I've done yet.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, who, like, he's amazing. I'm gonna call him out because I'm gonna tell him about this later. Kieran, he's the founder of GIFs. Okay. Like, you know, GIFs, the fun little things we send. GIFs, yeah. I call them GIFs.
Yeah, I started calling them GIFs, and then someone one day was like, why do you call it a GIF? I'm like, because that's what it is. And they're like, it's GIF.
Well, Kieran will tell you it's GIF, so
then I'm going to start saying GIF again. Fuck you guys.
But, yeah, I don't know. So, like, we were talking a lot about how we were raised.
That's really cool that he knows. Like,
well, he created it, yeah. Like, I'm just gonna go by his word. But you know what? Everyone can, like, I pronounce things wrong all the time, so it doesn't matter. But the point was that, like, he told me how his dad, like, always told him, like, never get a job. Like, never get a job. Like, from the very beginning, he was always, his dad was always, like, picking up different types of, like, projects and things like that, but through his like, own businesses, you know? And honestly, like, my parents are also really supportive and they're very entrepreneurial, but, you know, like, sometimes they are like, you've been in the startup scene for, like, 8 years now, like, when are you going to get a job? Or, like, you can do what you want, but, like, doesn't 401k and, like, health insurance plan sound nice? And I'm like, yes, but I'd like to provide that to someone. Like, I'm, like, really working hard for it, so...
You will.
And Kieran was... The point I was trying to make is that, like, he always talks... He was talking yesterday about... There's just so many things you can do. And I said, well, I feel bad sometimes thinking that, like... If I'm working in something that I want to be the entrepreneur, that I want to be the CEO, that I want to be the founder, you know... Because, like, you know, right now I'm the vice president of a company that I didn't found. Like, I didn't found. It was, like, 5 years ago. Yeah. But now I feel like I've made it my own. So I definitely am proud of it. But I was talking to him about that ego. Of, like, the ego of an entrepreneur. And he said, you know what, Mel? Like, I forget who he quoted. But it was, like, a past president. You should probably know. But he just said, he's like, dude, like, you need that ego to keep going sometimes. Like, you feeling like you're an entrepreneur, you're not wrong, because you think differently. Like, I think entrepreneurship is also a mindset.
That's fair.
Like, entrepreneurs may have that mindset but don't do anything, but at some point that catches on to you. Like, it caught on to me. Like, I wanted to do the skincare, and I was doing the skincare, but I wanted to be ecological, and I wanted to have all these, like, beautiful things. And I realized that for me, like, selling the creams wasn't the fun part. For me, the research and, like, making this business model and, like, the challenges that came for it was the fun part. And so then I was like, okay, so, like, maybe skincare is something I'm interested in learning, not selling, you know? And then I, like, adapted around that and, like, made my business about research and consulting differently, you know?
So interesting.
And so the point is that, like, you're not an entrepreneur. Like, your mindset, at least, you have the mindset and the way you think, even, like, with things we've spoken about literally, like, half an hour ago, you definitely have that mindset.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think, you know, I guess to an extent, it's just because I don't want to be the person who says something and then doesn't do it.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I get it.
Yeah.
It's happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, but it happens to everyone. Like, after my experience in my past business that I was working with someone in Puerto Rico, I was really embarrassed. I graduated college from Babson in May, and I told everyone, like, before leaving, I'm like, I'm moving to Puerto Rico. I'm going to go and empower the local economy. I'm going to do all these amazing things. And, like, I don't know if you guys know where this is recorded, like, we're in New York. Like, this is not Puerto Rico.
Right.
So, clearly I'm not there. Clearly I'm not living there. And it was a really hard reality for me because, like, all my friends were going to jobs or, like, maybe start a business, and they were doing it, and, like, I felt like a complete failure.
Right, because you went to do it, and then it
collapsed. And it didn't work. It didn't work. Like, I wish sometimes it did, but I don't.
Yeah.
I'm, like, much better off. But the point is,
it's led you to where you are.
I met someone in Miami who, like, told me, he was like, listen, like, that was very hard for you. I completely understand and can relate. And he's like, but that's happened to me 4 times.
Wow.
He's like, it doesn't matter. Like, stop fucking, like, caring about, like, oh, no, I failed and it was very hard. And, of course, it's hard because if you're doing something, it's because you care. And if it doesn't work out, it's going to be really hard for you, of course. But, like, just keep going. Like, I think it's more important for you to think about, like, just, like, being determined, which I know you are, and, like, over accomplishing that than, like, thinking, like, oh, no, what if I don't do it?
That's true.
And that's a big thing for me. Like, I very afraid of failure, and
it's partially perfectionism.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anything about video editing or podcast. I can't. I'm telling you. So for my last video, I looked up how to make an outro, and it took me an hour to make my logo, like, fade in and fade out. And it's like, but I enjoyed that so much. Sitting there for an hour like an idiot, like, why isn't it working?
Yeah, I know.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I have it.
You definitely have it.
But like, my biggest struggle at this point, though, is finding the team.
That's so important.
Because there are so many people, like, man, if any of you guys know someone who would sit here and record this and, like, they could edit it afterwards, like, I don't even care.
Call this number on the screen. It will come up on this.
I would love so much to have somebody who could do that for me. Because then I can, like, at this point I'm doing once a week, and this week's a special occasion. Like, I had one earlier today and one now, but it's like, that's 8 hours of work for me.
I know.
Afterwards.
It's a lot.
And it's like, I could take that 8 hours and do 8 more interviews.
I know.
And it's like...
Also your bandwidth and, like, the finances of it. Like, entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. There's some people who are fortunate enough to come from, like, wealthy families and they can fall back.
Right.
You know, like today I had a really reality check. Like student loans are no joke.
Yeah.
And basically, like today I'm paying double than what I was paying yesterday.
Yeah.
After like whatever
Craziness.
kicks in, and like it's a really strong reality. And like, don't get me wrong. Like the first thing is like, where am I gonna get the money? Or I mean, I have the money, but you know, you're always thinking of the future. Oh well, you have that money thought for something else or
Right.
whatever. Maybe invest in cryptos or stocks. Like we'll talk about that later. But like, you know, it's hard. And I've gotten on phone calls with you where I'm like almost crying, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Where I love what I'm doing. Like I'm educating and empowering kids, and I'm like working on something to clean the ocean. But like, you know, when you're in the startup world, and I'm sure you're gonna feel this, like you probably already feel it, like when you're doing something for so long, and last one didn't work, skincare, like I ended it to
Right.
focus on the other one, and it's like now you're here. It's like, when are you really, like
When is the one gonna come?
yeah, or when are you really going to see it like 100%?
Mhm.
Like you can, and the hard part is that you know that if you just stayed with it for like 1 or 2 years, you're like,
Right.
you know, like it's gonna make it, but you're like, fuck, like short term, like
Right.
I also need it
Because
now.
there are always problems short term that you need
Yeah.
to take care of.
And that's the thing, like there's just so many projects that everyone's like, you know, in the long term, like this is going to be, and like you have to think long term, and I agree, like long term thinking is so important, you know, like
Mhm.
you should invest instead of spend,
Mhm.
etc. I don't do that. I should do that more. I'm getting to it, I promise. But
Maybe we can work on that together. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm at ground zero.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like I you just need to do it,
Mhm.
you know. And I think like if you find different revenue streams, which is like lately what I've been finding,
Mhm.
definitely works.
Mhm.
But those revenue streams, that means as long as if you're working on something, it's gonna like get bigger
Mhm.
if you're doing
Right.
it well, and hopefully it works out. So then the workload gets bigger.
Mhm.
So now you have like 3 big things,
Mhm.
right?
It started out as 9 hours of work, 3 hours per each, and now it's 9 hours of work per each thing.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, like I mean, I'm not there yet. Hopefully, like I see it coming very soon. I'm scared, to be honest with you. And I'm like, okay, like this could, like in a few months, like wow, we're gonna have so much work, but then we're gonna have more money, but fuck, we're gonna have more work. But okay, but like I just took this other project on right now because I don't have like that. It's not bringing so much money right now. And but fuck, that project in like a few months is also gonna have a lot of work. Oh my god, what about an assistant? No, I don't need an assistant. Why am I gonna? It's like, you know. And then I'm like, what about my productivity? I could totally be working and being more productive, and
Mhm.
I'm not.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so it's just like.
Of course.
It's always like a reflection and like just like
But what do you
something
think, like,
fixing.
Do you think there's going to have to come a point where you pick it up?
Yeah, I think that there's gonna come a point where I just like
It's not sustainable anymore.
no, it's like not. It's very burning out. Like
Because I think the best business people, obviously,
Focus.
yes,
they focus.
but they also have diversification in the way that they're disconnected,
Mhm.
but they entrusted it to somebody else and
yeah,
they're still
so
making
that's
money.
so for example, like Ben.
Yeah. Good little segue.
Yeah,
Good.
I love Ben.
Yeah.
Ben has been amazing for me, and I also think like our team, Eric has been an amazing executive director for Ben. And the past executive directors have done a well job.
Mhm.
But you know, after you work so hard on something, it's not that you want to micromanage, because I've been micromanaged and it sucks. Don't do it. It's hard. Have patience though, and like talk about it if you feel that way. But it really comes down to passion. Like when Eric, if he becomes an advisor, if I become an advisor later, which would be what happens, we want to make sure it's with someone that's like not only going to continue the mission of the company, but like is going to put the work into it. Because you can have like any idea, like we can be talking about $1 million ideas, but like it's the execution, you know. And I think it definitely is a team. Like without like Eric sometimes on top of my ass, and without me like on top of his ass, vice versa, or like, you know, bringing different things up or different ideas.
Yep.
It makes a difference. When I had Vera and I was by myself, are you kidding me? I had to do marketing, sales, operations, everything myself, and it gets tiring, and there's no one to hold you really accountable, especially like
you can always slack off.
You can always slack off.
You're like, well, I spent 3 hours this morning on, you know, on the marketing, so I'll slack off a little bit on the other part of it.
Yeah, it's true. So like even like, so Ben, guys.
Can you give a little a little background on that?
So Ben, Blockchain Education Network,
Education
Network. So Blockchain Education Network, Ben, has been around for 5 years. It started by Jeremy Gardner, and it was really a way for students between different universities to share resources like content, PowerPoints, resources to different events like tickets to conferences. Or
That's
sneaking
cool.
into conferences.
Yes.
I don't know, we've done that a couple of times. I mean, not for Ben, but separately in college.
Understood.
So now, you know, Ben has gone, April 23rd is our 5-year anniversary, which if you go to our website, if you go to our Twitter or Facebook, you'll find a campaign that you can donate to.
Yeah. All the links will be...
Yeah, all the links will be there. But basically, Ben is really a way to educate students around blockchain. And it's done a really good job for the past 5 years. We have, and if we scroll down, I don't know, this is not working. Okay, so we have 7 national offices. I'm Colombian. I didn't make the Colombian national offices, but I'm very proud that we have a Colombian national office. In Vietnam, Dubai, Australia, Italy, and Canada. And I might be missing one. Oh, and India. India is doing really well too. So I would manage the 7 national offices. We have over 200 universities, over 2,300 students, and altogether we've had across over 4,000 students just been involved in Ben over the past few years. And this is in blockchain. So like, let's remember how niche blockchain is. And actually our first clubs were closed. Like Wellesley College, which is an all-girls school in Massachusetts, was closed. The club was closed because the school said they wanted nothing that had to do with...
My cousin went there.
Oh, that's very cool. That's where Hillary went.
Oh.
Yeah, they said they didn't want their students having anything to do with drugs, and they saw Bitcoin as something to do with drugs, and so therefore they saw blockchain as something to do with drugs. So it got closed. During the bull market a few months ago that Bitcoin got to around 18,000, there were a lot of people that, you know, obviously were looking at cryptocurrencies, which, for those who don't know, cryptocurrencies and blockchain are not the same thing. Blockchain is a platform or technology that cryptocurrencies can run on. It's different. Blockchain is not a type of cryptocurrency.
Now, would you blockchain is information, correct?
Yes and no. So blockchain, blockchain is decentralized, right? It's really putting the power back in people's hands. I'll give you an example. When I was first looking into blockchain, I had a skincare before, so I looked at blockchain and skincare, and that's really when I first started understanding. So blockchain has different blocks, right? There's, like, let's say, different data blocks in a way. And in a skincare, that can look for, like, in operations, like a supply chain, right?
Okay.
Anything that goes on the blockchain cannot be taken off. Like information, like it's there.
Can you consider?
You can trace it.
Would you call this like Internet 2.0?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like it has a. If you look at like the. If you look at when the internet first started.
Because it was called the interweb. It was a series of.
Yeah.
Right.
And like the bubble that was during that time.
Right.
people have compared it, and it's very similar. Yeah.
Cool.
And so, for example, something that I've been doing lately, has been a lot of research around blockchain and ecology, and like how you can use blockchain to create processes that are ecological. So like tracing ingredients on a skincare or on any food or anything, and putting it on the blockchain, and therefore, one, like cutting out a lot of intermediaries and processes, but two, also holding accountability. So like I heard yesterday, like I actually have to check because it would be really cool if this were true, that Sweetgreen is using it for their ingredients, because you know how Chipotle has a lot of E. coli outbreaks. With blockchain, you'll be able to trace exactly where that problem is coming from, and you can say, okay, it was this farmer, these tomatoes, and it's in this Chipotle in this place, and it went to these places. So okay, cut it out. That's it. So it really is a way to trace information, which is why like it's funny.
How does that information get there?
Well, you would put it there.
Right. So you would have to. So let's say that Chipotle that had the first outbreak of E. coli, someone would have to say, like, ding, like this is where.
Well, no, because if you put your supply chain on the blockchain, which is essentially what they would have to be doing for this to happen, then you have the different data points of like, okay, like, tomato was registered in, I don't know, like, this Long Island farm.
Sure.
And it was traced to here, and so like it's just a tracing in a sense.
Okay, understood.
But there's
is it transactional?
It is transactional, but it's not like there in different scenarios. Blockchain puts the power in people's hands. Yes, the reason why this concerns me, supply chain, and it's what I'm working on to try to figure out, and a lot of people are working on this, and it seems like VeChain might figure it out, but it's that if, let's say, a company like L'Oreal decides to do this, and that's on their supply chain, if you do it from a consumer's point of view, so that a consumer knows that all of these products are organic, maybe, let's say they take that route, and they want to show, all of our products are organic, like trace it, look, like maybe scan a QR code and be able to see it came from this farmer and all the stops that the product went through. My question is, how can I trust that the information that they're telling me is true? Right, like that's the problem.
Because that puts the power back in
the company's hands.
Exactly.
So like that's what I'm trying to figure out. That's under that scenario. If a company is trying to show their but if a company like Sweetgreen is trying to use it to really manage like the point of errors, which I know like Renault has done the same thing. Renault, the car company, in Colombia, for example, when I was down there working with our national office, I found that Renault hired some blockchain consultants to actually put their like operations on the blockchain as well. And I was talking to someone from Renault, and she was telling me about like the way that they're looking at it is that sometimes different parts fail, and different cars don't work, and different people get blamed, and the blame is like, no, it was that guy, no, it was the people who put it together or whatever. Here you'll be able to trace, and there's more accountability.
Understood.
You know, so
how is that process going to get streamlined? Do they have any idea? Like, would my phone register a chip, for say, in that auto part, and that auto part is automatically dinged, and now it uploads directly?
Yeah, so I think, like,
so you know how, like,
there's different, so, like, keep in mind, keep in mind, like, just everyone, like, in the world, like, please keep in mind that blockchain is very new.
Yes.
Like, these questions are questions that people are having when building the technology. Like, the technology is being built right now on top of the blockchain.
Because to me, it seems very interesting, because I'm thinking about Google and how Google takes information and uses that information, of course, profitably, but every time you look up a restaurant on your phone, that information gets stored and shared and sold so that other restaurants similar to that one understand that you might be interested.
So, So, I mean, I don't know how you are about, like, security and privacy and data.
I think we're all screwed, so it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, for sure. But, for example, like, depending on it. Some people on blockchain are able to really keep their identity really hidden and anonymous.
Okay.
And, like, that's something really attractive, right, of blockchain, at least for me.
Sure.
But also...
We all want safety and security. It's a matter of, are we allowed to have it?
You can be safe and have a closed door. Like, that's something I really liked that one of my professors said in the media studies class at Babson. She was like, because I used to say, oh, well, it's for our safety. So, like, data, I am okay with not having so much privacy if it's for security.
Right.
But you can have both, right? You know, like, for example, JP Morgan announced their coin.
Okay, yeah.
JP Morgan was also one of the banks to say that cryptocurrencies was like fraud and like a scam. But they were investing like...
You scared them.
Well, yeah, no shit, because it's like putting the power back in people's hands. It's the reason why, like, in Venezuela, it's caused such a big issue.
Well, this is one of the things that I love so much about it. It's that if I wanted to like use my money or my coin, whatever my currency.
Yeah, your currency.
I don't have to go to the bank and get permission to spend $300,000 to buy my house. It's mine. I can just use it for that.
It's also the transactional fees are beautiful. Like think about it.
Think about essentially. Now, how does this work in with tax, right? Because how can you get taxed on? Not a good question.
No, it's a good question.
You know, because to me, and this I'm sure is why people are like, oh, it's illegal. But to me, it's like, well, if the fees are so low, there must be a reason why they can do it at such a low price.
Okay. I got paid in crypto.
Yes.
I got paid in crypto.
Okay, this is kind of the interesting story, right?
Yeah.
This was.
Yeah. So this is I got paid in crypto, and when I first got into blockchain, I was very afraid as well, and most of the company's money was in crypto, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is so stupid.
It's like, I get it, but where the fuck is the
money? Well, my point was like, fuck, like, hello, if like Bitcoin or Ethereum drops, which are currencies, we're fucked. Like, like how why? Like, why?
Right.
You know? And I was like, no, we need to. All the blockchain people are gonna hate me, which I don't believe this anymore. We need to move it all to U.S. dollar, which is what, like, in the blockchain world we call fiat.
Which is what any normal, sane individual would think.
Right. So now I'm crazy.
Yes.
But and shout out. They're not probably going to see this, but to the MakerDAO team. There's a company called MakerDAO, and their currency, and their currency is DAI, and DAI is a stable coin, which is pegged to the U.S. dollar.
Interesting.
And so, you know, if you're afraid of that volatility, you can then move it to DAI and put it in DAI, which, you know, we've differentiated. Yes. We have some in Bitcoin, some in Ethereum, some in DAI.
Interesting.
And the point is that I got paid, and I would, the first 3 months, I would put it all in U.S. dollar. And then, you hold your currencies in a digital wallet. There's many different digital wallets. You should all be very careful with what type of digital wallet you use. You can even store it in a, why am I forgetting the term? In a ledger. And a ledger is similar to, it looks like a USB.
Yeah.
And you can store your money there. And that way it's not in a wallet, almost similar to a bank, right? We think about it.
So intriguing. Yeah.
So then it's like holding it in your hands.
Yes.
Now I did that, and all the money that I turned into fiat that I took out of my digital wallet and I put in my bank account is all income. So it's all money I'm taxed on.
Yes.
Now, if you don't take it out of your digital wallet,
you don't get taxed on it. But you can only use it at places
that
who accept.
Right.
And so you're keeping it with the belief, hope, trust that...
No. I just take it out when I have an expense as I need it.
As it's like a savings account.
And like I have a percentage in Bitcoin, I have a percentage in Ethereum, just like I'm looking into Apple, and we'll see how Uber does. Disney was doing really well today, but they think it's going to go down again because something about the streaming, I don't know. But you look into different stocks and you put it in there.
Yeah.
I definitely think that, and please, I want no one, because I've heard many people have issues where they're like, I think Bitcoin and Ethereum's definitely going to go up, and then like people take their word and like do it, and then they're like, you said it's going to go up. Don't like take any financial decisions based on what I'm saying. You're your own person. But yeah, I definitely see this in the long term.
I mean, to me, it makes sense, and I think tell me a situation in the history of the world where someone wasn't completely against something that's brand new.
Well, yeah, and we're the government.
Exactly. Like, I guarantee you the first person who invented the wheel got, like, stoned
so much
to
shit,
death.
Yeah.
They're like, what an idiot. Look at this guy. And then, like, meanwhile, he's, like, 3 miles ahead of you, and you're like, shit, I guess I need a wheel now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot. Like, there's a lot to build on blockchain, honestly. And I think really, like, what's amazing about the people that I've met in the space, the developers specifically, like, I just want to say, like, we all are, like, so stupid, for thinking that, I know we don't think developing is easy, but even, like, thinking, like, when we see a phone and we're not amazed, or, like, when we see a website or, like, a transaction and we're not amazed as to the code behind it, or even, like, see blockchain, or we think Bitcoin or Ethereum, ontology, like, and we don't think, like, oh my god, wow, the economics are really interesting, and, like, I wonder what the code looks like. Like, there's geniuses building this. Like, I wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't be able to. It's so difficult, you know? I went to DEF CON in Prague, and it's like and I didn't know it was the developer conference, like where all the very smart developer goes to. And here's Mel, who knows nothing about coding, and it was amazing. I went with Ben, and we worked with the MakerDAO team, and we did a Dappy hour, which was really cool, where this you're going to like. So there's a bar. We had an open bar. Like, we paid for an open bar. But you could only buy a drink if you had sent DAI, which DAI is a stable coin. So we had people so some people didn't have DAI. So we had, like, human faucets who would go around and send DAI to people's wallets. And it was just to, like, this is how new blockchain is, where we're at the point where just, like, getting people engaged and, like, sending transactions and showing how to do it is really important. Like, education is so important right now, and engagement with the community. And so, doing that, and then we had, I don't know if we have pictures, but we had, no, I don't think we have pictures. Maybe in about. The point is, it was really cool because we had a screen that Eric, our executive director, worked really hard in. Let me see if we have a picture. No.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you want, like, anything that we can't find on the fly, I'll just put up afterwards.
Yeah. So the point is, there was just a cool picture that you can see. So every time that someone would send in DAI, it would show it on the screen, and then, like, there would be a light that goes around, and even just showing and seeing transactions going around, like, this is how new it is. This visual is really cool. Important.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see how that works.
Yeah, and we got, like, I think it was, like, almost $2,000
wow.
donated to Ben. And some people were like, drink to, like, give students flights to different events, and people were like, yeah, and like buying drinks, you know?
Awesome.
Yeah, and so I went to this conference, and, you know, they were all just talking very deep code, and I had no idea, and I just,
Yeah.
and I just felt like I didn't have a place, you know? But what I learned was, one, to like,
You need someone to build it, you need someone to utilize it.
yeah, and developers like realize, like, and I think the community realizes more and more, like, we realize that like no one gives a fuck about blockchain. Like, the outer world does not give a fuck. No one, like, I had a friend in Australia who, in the Australian elections, they were going to use like Flux, which is a way that you can vote through blockchain, and so like it's to hold everything accountable, and you can like say every person, let's say, votes has X amount of weight, and if I say Peter knows more than me, so I'm going to send my vote to Peter, and Peter can vote for the person that he thinks, you know, like, it's like that. But so he went around and he says you really only have 30 seconds to tell someone why they should vote for someone in this party, so that we can get someone in the government that has a blockchain party behind it. And you have 30 seconds. People don't care about blockchain. People don't care about the adaptability. People don't care about, like, you know, transaction fees. Like, the outer world in reality cares about things that are pretty, things that are accessible, and things that make, you know, their lives easier.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why the rest of the world isn't taking up blockchain yet, and like isn't going crazy about it, except for like our small bubble and community that does, which is definitely growing,
Mm-hmm.
is because it's not ready.
Mm-hmm.
It's not ready. It's not sexy enough for some, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Well, to get a few people excited about it real quick, for anybody who's not familiar, right, why don't you tell them 2010, right? It's been around long enough. What was one Bitcoin or Bitcoin worth versus now?
Okay, well,
You don't have to give me an exact. Give me a general, like, did it 10 times? Did it 20
Definitely.
times?
I mean, definitely. Like, right now, it's at, I believe today it was like at 5,100 or 5,000.
Right. So, like, if I had put in $7 back then, I would have $5,000 right now.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is.
And, like, you don't even have to look at it from a financial point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can, like, do if you want to maybe make money long term. Hopefully we all, like, you know. But look at it from the point, like, look at your banks. And in the United States, this might not apply to so many people, but, like, look at your banks. Look at what wiring transactions may be. We have Venmo, so, like, whatever. In Latin America, that doesn't exist, you know? And look at how voting is right now. Look at supply chain. Look at accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Look at, like, a smart contract, which is what you can make on an Ethereum
This is
network.
why you need your podcast. Like as I'm sitting here with you talking about it, I'm just realizing more and more that the depth and the amount of information that needs to be provided.
Join Ben.
It's insane. And if you simply sat down and just, because everything we've spoken about is nothing.
Yeah.
Like, everything we've talked about needs to go deeper. Like, I have questions. I need
Oh my
deeper
god,
understanding.
imagine if we would have spoken about plastic.
What do you even mean? I don't even know what.
Plastic? I mean, it's just so bad for the environment.
Oh, you mean,
it's
okay.
plastic.
Okay.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I was like, is
different
plastic
topics.
another coin? Oh my god.
No. I'm just saying, like, there's just different things that I'm really passionate
absolutely.
about.
And you know what? And those are things, because to me the environment is so important as well. And I'd love to have you back to talk about that too. Because that's a completely different conversation that I feel is extremely important for all of us.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that drives me insane is walking down the street and somebody steps over a bottle or anything, and I'm like, it doesn't take a lot to make it change if we all did one thing a day.
No, I mean, totally, like, that's really important, but it even just kills me, like, when I'm gonna go get my nails done, or, like, when I just see plastic being used so stupidly, like, in a nail salon or in a hairdresser, and it's just like, okay, like this person's done garbage, like okay, next one garbage.
Right,
It's like
right.
fuck, if that were biodegradable plastic, and like that can totally be a thing because it doesn't need a long life, right? Like like for example, for like containers and like skincare, you need it to last a long time,
Yes.
so like that's more difficult. But something that's going to be used for like 15 minutes does
And then
not
thrown out.
need a fucking long.
Take it out of the packaging. It could start degrading in 3 hours, and you can
Yeah,
still
but
use
the thing is, the problem with this is that these products and ecology has normally a long, short, bad, like, it's very expensive in the beginning.
Yes.
You know, short term, it's very expensive. But, like, for the world, long term is. But we all care about our pockets. So that's another thing I'm working on.
I'll be dead in 200 years. What do I care?
Yeah. Well, but the problem is, that's the thing. You should care, because you know what? It's so bad for you. Like, I don't care if you don't care about the fucking environment. The environment can die. You're gonna die in 200 years. You don't care. Great for you. But guess what? The reason why fertility rates are going down, the reason why, you know, cancer keeps going on a high, and I know we all think everything causes cancer. But even the reason, like, why, like, our nervous system for some people are breaking down, is because of plastic. Like, you know, it's an endocrine disruptor. I mean, if you don't care about the environment, maybe you care about yourself. Maybe you care about your chances of being able to have a kid in the future. I know some people might not want to. But, like, just actually think what that's doing to your body. If it's killing nature, what do you think it's doing for you? Like,
It's that simple.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I really do. I would love to talk about that
Yeah.
another time, because that's another world of information, and I think you probably have some things to say that would shock people.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that would be a very cool conversation to have.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I think we might have to cut it because I have to go.
That's okay. No
Um,
worries. They're already like halfway through class.
Okay,
so-
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But no, like that was really cool. So I just want to like tell people right now where they can find you, where they can find Ben, where they can find anything else. I know Ben has some information up on their
so,
website.
blockchainedu.org. Really, if you just want to learn, if you're a student, it's free to join.
I'll go join.
Yeah, we have conferences, not hosted by us, but like we partner with the biggest conferences because we've been around, so we've made some really good relationships, and we get free tickets to conferences that are normally like thousands of dollars.
Cool.
We give financial aid for our students. We fly them out at times to different
Awesome.
conferences, and we have companies sponsor our curriculum, which is called the Playbook, so that they can put activities so that students can engage with an activity and really learn. And the thing, you know what's the sexiest part about blockchain? Is that it's so small, guys, that honestly you can grow so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm speaking at 5 events next month.
Yeah. I want to talk to you again. I want to talk to you about like how
Just learn, because
I
you can grow so much in it.
how can I take what I'm doing here and apply it to the blockchain? We don't have to talk about
Yeah,
it now, but
next
that's something
time.
that I'd
Yeah.
love to talk about
For
too.
sure.
Because I do see possibilities there.
Awesome.
And to me, it's silly not to approach a possibility.
Yeah.
So I would really like to do that.
For sure.
But other than that, like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'll include like your Instagram link. I'll include Ben has.
So
social
Ben
media.
has Blockchain EDU.
Okay,
We're just
Blockchain
Blockchain
EDU.
EDU. And, I love Ben, but I also, am my own person, and I work a lot in ecology, and
right. There's so much more like that Mel has to offer. It's just it's difficult sitting down with people who are intelligent,
obviously,
because there's just so much.
Oh yeah,
and that's why there will be there'll be future conversations.
The problem is like I'm just too curious. Like that's not the problem. Like
great.
I just I want to learn.
But
more.
I want to say thank you real quick
for
just
sure.
for coming. I
Thank
think
you for having me.
of course, it's like I love it, right? And it's one of those things where that night where we met back again after those few years, like that was just it. It was like in an instant. I was like, everything that I was thinking about for the past few months has just became a reality.
Yeah.
And since then, it's just been wonderful to have you to be able to
you
sit down
too. Oh my God.
and talk about these things with. And so I really appreciate
Guys,
that.
like, Peter is, like, an angel. Honestly, like, when I have my freakouts, like, he's always there, and
Thank
he's
you.
an amazing life coach.
Thank you.
Amazing life coach, seriously.
Thank you.
I'm, like, I really, like, owe a lot to, and you don't know this, but I owe a lot to you, because at times where I was terrible, like, some words that Peter has said has gotten me out of a really, shitty,
appreciate
like,
that.
mental space, so,
Me
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Seriously.
good to hear about that.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much.
I love you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Mm.
So cool.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I have to go.
All right. I'll run you downstairs.